Hey, what is up everyone? Those of you that have been following me here on the channel for a while probably are aware of the fact that I am a small business owner outside of YouTube. So when this story first broke, it's one that really did pique my interest, and it's one that I did want to talk about. I know I'm a little bit late getting to it, and everybody and their mother has pretty much already talked about it at this point, but I wanted to go ahead and kind of give my 2 cents on it, and that is Anime Matsuri retaining the legal services of One Thai Beard. And that's a name that should be familiar to you if you have been following all the controversy with the whole Vic Mignogna situation, as well as Todd Haberkorn and Funimation and all that good stuff. That's a name that should ring a bell. He is, of course, Vic Mignogna's lawyer. He's also representing Todd Haberkorn in his potential case there, as well as now Anime Matsuri. But I'll just go ahead and read the article here that is from Bounding Into Comics. Oh, and good news for those of you that don't know, Bounding Into Comics is back on Facebook, so hooray for them. Bounding Into Comics, as you all know, I stand in support of you all, and I will continue to always cite your articles whenever I do these videos. So continue to do the good work that you're doing. I appreciate it, and let's just go ahead and read the article here. Anime and Japanese Culture Convention, Anime Matsuri has reportedly retained the services of Vic Mignogna's lawyer Thai Beard. The report comes from lawyer Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law. Rekieta reports, "I've just been informed that Anime Matsuri has retained Thai Beard. Looks like they're tired of garbage heaps trying to intimidate their guests. Consider yourselves on notice." The report comes after the convention faced a rejuvenated boycott movement after announcing Dragon Ball Super Broly voice actor Vic Mignogna as a guest. The convention has faced a boycott movement called Boycott Anime Matsuri since January 2018. The Houston Chronicle notes the initial boycott began over allegations that convention organizer John Lay sexually harassed women in the anime and cosplay communities. Lay issued a statement regarding the accusations in February of last year. It reads in part, "I have listened to the stories of those who have been harassed, people who have been bullied or objectified, and people who have suffered in silence afraid of speaking out. I understand now that my actions were unacceptable. I sincerely want to apologize to everyone that has been affected by my mistakes, because by recognizing, acknowledging, and apologizing, and not repeating them is how I will continue to improve as a person." Lay had previously indicated he planned to take legal action in an attempt to protect our guest. However, he would decide against legal actions, noting the actions we took had the unintended consequences of stifling conversations about sexual harassment. Despite Lay's statement, Boycott Anime Matsuri continued to call for the people to cancel their appearances, and even stated Lay's wife terrorizes and openly mocks a girl her husband sexually harassed. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the tweet here from Boycott Anime Matsuri, which says, "We hope that the current AM 2019 guests," and they went ahead and tagged a couple of them on here, "will reconsider attending a convention whose CEO terrorizes and openly mocks a girl her husband sexually harassed." Okay, then we see more here in this tweet. Hashtag Anime Matsuri reps say they take sexual harassment and safety of their attendees seriously, but the screen cap of AM's CEO mocking one of the girls her husband sexually harassed sure does tell a different story. And it shows the tweet from Denise Lay, CEO of Anime Matsuri. "The moment when your husband's accuser finds herself in the same restaurant as him and our staff entourage." So I guess they obviously had seen each other out in public, and she kind of poked a little bit of fun at that. They would double down on their calls to boycott the anime convention after Vic Mignogna was invited as a guest. Okay, and here we have another tweet from them where they went ahead and tagged more of the guests that would be going to the show. "We're sorry to hear that such talented actors have been announced as guests for Anime Matsuri. Please reconsider attending in solidarity with women who have reported being sexually harassed by the owner of AM." And then they go ahead and link the info that they're referring to. And we'll go ahead and read on the article. "Thai Beard of Beard Harris Bull Accused is currently representing Vic Mignogna in his lawsuit against Monica Royale, Ron Toye, Jamie Marchi, and Funimation. Beard is the founder and senior partner of Beard Harris Bull Accused. He specializes in defamation, tortious interference, business litigation, business transactions, and advanced estate planning." All right, so that's as far as I'll go with the article. If you guys want to go ahead and check that out, link is in the description below. As far as the accusations against the owner of Anime Matsuri, I don't know what the truth is with that. There hasn't been any kind of legal action or police reports regarding that. To the best of my knowledge, it boiled down to, I guess, jokes or comments that he had made that were inappropriate, which he has since apologized for. If there's more to the story than that, again, don't really know, so I'm not going to comment on that. But I will say this, as a small business owner, I am a person that is fully in support of voting with your dollars. If you don't like a product or service or event, you can choose not to support it financially. So let me give you a little bit of an example here. Let's say there's a UFC fight card, right? 5 fights on that card, maybe 1 or 2 of them that you want to watch, and the pay-per-view costs $59.99. Now you get to decide whether or not that 1 or 2 fights on that card are worth your money or not. If you decide, nah, they're not, and you pass on it, well, then you voted with your dollars. You said, hey, it's not worthy of my money. It's not worthy of me investing into, so you pass on it. Or maybe let's say you don't want to ever support the UFC again, right? You don't want to go to their events. You don't want to purchase any of their pay-per-views. You say, you know what? I'm done with this company because maybe you don't like their business practices. You don't like the fact that they don't pay the fighters more. Whatever your reason is, it's all well within your right to do. You can vote with your dollars. You can decide, I no longer want to support this. I'm kind of boycotting them here. I'm done with them. Now, if you want to make that opinion public, you're welcome to do so, as long as you're not saying anything that is outright defamatory, but just maybe you're just expressing your experience with them or the fact that you don't like them for X, Y, and Z reasons. Totally fine for you to do. What is not okay for you to do is interfere in their business prospects or their contracts. That is not legal. You cannot do that. And there's a lot of people that are finding this out the hard way. Case in point, probably the biggest one right now that is finding this out the hard way is Mark Wade. He is involved, of course, in a legal dispute with Richard C. Meyer, formerly Diversity in Comics, now known as Comics Matter. Of course, that's another case entirely there that we won't get into and diverge too much. But as a small business owner, this is something that, of course, interests me because I've seen things like this happen before. I'll give you an example, right? And this is not necessarily the exact same thing as tortious interference, but just so you could kind of get an idea of why you shouldn't do this, because it could just blow up in your face, right? So I had this friend who owns a video game shop. And of course, and mind you, he gives way more credit than GameStop would for like trade-ins and things like that. But of course, he takes trade-ins. He has his own business that he runs, his own video game shop. So he takes in trade-ins for either store credit or for he'll give people cash for their games, right? So once that person walks into his store, into his place of business, any business that goes on is going to be between him and that customer. So if there's another customer in the store and they see what's going on, and this guy comes up with a box of video games to my friend and says, hey, look, and I've seen this happen before. This is what I got. How much can you give me in store credit? How much can you give me in cash? Right? He'll go through it, price everything out. This is how much I'll give you for this stuff. This customer does not have the right to jump in and say, hey, look, I'll give you more money than that guy will for all that stuff. You don't have a right to do that. And here's why. Because it is not your place of business. It is not your place to interfere in that business transaction. So I've seen my friend kick people out for that. Like, hey, get out. You can't do that here. You know what I mean? Now, once that person leaves the store, if they leave that store with that box of games still intact and it's away from my friend's place of business, fair game, right? It's whatever. But in his place of business, that is not acceptable behavior, because he's the one that's paying the rent for that particular place. He's the one that is paying to keep the lights on there. That is his place of business, not anyone else's. So nobody else has a right to come and interfere with that. And that's something, the reason I tell that story is because it's just to give more or less the idea of what people are essentially doing, or what they think that they can do regarding interfering in other people's business. If you don't want to support that business anymore, you're well within your right to do so. You're well within your right to opine why you don't want to support that business anymore. That's the beautiful thing about free market enterprise. You can take your business elsewhere. What you can't do is actively involve yourself within those parties that are doing business. That is not your place. So hopefully Anime Matsuri won't have to get into a situation where they'll have to hand out lawsuits, because that'll get pretty expensive for them. And hopefully people will learn that, hey, look, if you want to boycott a place, if you don't want to support them anymore, that's fine. You can state that publicly all you want, but don't go after their guests. Don't try to contact their guests and tell them that they shouldn't go to Anime Matsuri because of reasons that they believe they shouldn't, I mean, that's not their place to do. Look, if the guests find out for themselves or they feel a certain way about it, they'll pull out themselves beforehand. If they hear things or if they decide, you know what, this is probably not within my best interest to go to this place, they'll probably pull out themselves. They really don't need other people actively trying to involve themselves in that business. That's why they have agents. That's why a lot of these guests will have booking agents or people or managers or things of that sort that will handle those things for them. It's none of your business. Don't involve yourself in it. But anyways, what do you guys think of all this? Let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, you know how it goes. The hunt continues.